Dear students in the third grade, good afternoon. Welcome to our seminar for, in the ninth grade, sorry. Welcome to our seminar for today, in which we are going to talk about Unit 1. As you know, in this seminar we will try to cover all skills in this unit. Well, let me first introduce my colleagues in the studio who are going to participate me in this seminar. Ms. Umayma Sherba, an English supervisor from Tartus. Good afternoon, Ms. Umayma. And Mr. Abdelmajid Orli, the English coordinator at the NCCD. Good afternoon, Mr. Abdelmajid.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Well, dear students, as you know, this is our first seminar for you in this year. We will try, in fact, to cover all the skills in this unit with my colleagues. Mr. Abdelmajid, let me start with you. As you know, in Unit 1, we have, let's say, a number of texts.
Yes.
Of course, these texts are found in Unit 1 to, let's say, cover the comprehension skill. I mean, we test the comprehension.
Yes.
We want to know that our students are able to comprehend, to understand everything when they read a text. Of course, there are types of texts in this unit. We have articles, we have some paragraphs when we want to talk about ourselves, for example. We have stories. So let's start with the first text in Unit 1 in the student's book, as I remember, page 12. So I'd like to use the overhead. We can use the overhead. I want you to read text 1, which is, as I remember, episode 1, right?
Yes, the Bird City.
Yes, the Bird City. Let's start reading, Mr. Abdelmajid, to our students.
The Bird City, episode 1, New Friends. Tariq couldn't sleep. He listened to the sounds from the street. He smelled the flowers from the garden, and he felt the warm air in his room. Everything was familiar. He was living again in the house where he was born. But it was also very different from his old house in Canada. Then he thought again about the next morning, his first day at his new school. Was he excited or nervous? He didn't know. He was thinking about his new school when he finally fell asleep.
So, Mr. Majid, it was an introduction.
Yes.
Of course. This introduction contains
passage.
some ideas about, as I think, Tariq. And because it is his first day at school, he came from Canada.
Yes.
Because his father was working there, right?
Right.
So he had, let's say, a temporary job in Canada. They went back to Syria, and he is now in Syria, and this is his first day at school.
Mm-hmm.
So what about his feelings when he, let's say, starts his school, Miss Umayma? What do you think?
We noticed that in the first lesson here in Unit 1, the lesson concentrates on the feeling.
Yes.
And on a tense. Okay, so he has different feelings according. As we notice here, we have the start of a story.
Yes.
We have a story in lesson 1. We have a tense which is past, and we have feelings.
Good.
So as we notice when Mr. Majid read, there are many feelings here related to this character, Tariq,
Yes.
in this story.
Good. So what about his house in Canada and his house in Syria? Were they the same?
Yes.
No, they were different.
He mentioned that, no,
Yeah.
it was different.
They were
so
different, yeah.
this is a good idea to ask about it if you want to ask the students about this paragraph or this story. Well, when he starts school, of course, he meets a friend. He meets someone at school. His name, as I think, is Hussein, and there was a conversation between Tariq
Actually,
and Hussein.
before we go on,
Yes.
if I may, please, here the teacher can ask his students to read silently, not as I'm doing. Now
course,
I'm
of course.
indicating the
Yes.
audio tape
Yes,
script,
yes,
but the teacher can ask his students to read silently. After that, he can ask questions about this. For
or
example,
he gives them first
he-
some questions
yes,
and
yes.
asks them to listen.
was he born in Canada or in Syria?
Yes,
This is mentioned.
yes,
Now we need higher thinking questions. We don't want memorizing.
of course.
So it's not written that he was born here. We can say, was he born in Canada or in Syria? We can discover, the student can
course.
discover from that he was
But
born in the
now,
same
for the
house.
time being, Mr. Majid, we are trying to explain to our students. We are talking to
Yes,
students
I'm doing
now,
the same.
and we want them to understand it.
And for the students,
yes.
for the students, while reading, when they have these questions about was he angry, was he sad, how
Good.
was his feeling? This is one of the questions.
Good.
Was he born in Canada or in Syria is another question.
Yes.
So these are comprehension questions about the text itself.
Good. So let's start the conversation together. We are free.
Yeah,
And we
Well,
can,
then-
you are Nadia, of course, Miss Umayma. Okay.
She doesn't have a book,
Okay.
actually.
It's okay, it's
Would you
okay.
please put it,
I'll help you,
between-
I'll help
And
you.
you can,
I'll help you.
you can look at the monitor if
It's
you can
okay,
see
it's
the
okay.
monitor.
It's okay. The next day, Tariq was studying a book in the school library when somebody spoke to him. So Hussein spoke to Tariq. He said, "Hello, I'm Hussein. I think we're in the same class. What
Oh.
about you, Tariq?
Hello, my name is Tariq.
What are you reading?"
It's a book about Busra. I'm reading lots of books about ancient history at the moment. I love it.
"I quite like it, but I prefer science. Where was your old school?"
I went to a school in Canada. My dad's a university professor, and he taught Arabic literature in Montreal
"How long did you live there?"
for 6 years.
"That was a long time. Have you got any brothers and sisters?"
I've got one sister, that's all.
"Me too. Is she older than you?"
No, so is only 11. What about you?
Nadia is 14. She loves writing. Well, then there is an introduction, of course. Tariq and Hussein soon became good friends. They always had lots to talk about. One day, Hussein told Nadia about Tariq's life in Canada. She wrote articles for her school internet magazine, and she was always looking for new stories.
Yes.
It's your turn, Nadia.
That's really interesting story, Hussein.
Why don't you write an article about Tariq and his life in Canada?
That's great idea.
I'll see him tomorrow and he can give me more information.
So let me ask some questions about the dialogue.
Yeah.
We have got some information and about Hussein, about Tariq, and about Nadia. First of all, I'd like to ask about Tariq. What was Tariq reading?
He was reading a book
What was
about
the book about?
history Busra.
It's about Busra. Yes,
Yeah, it's about
history. Good. So what books does Hussein prefer reading, Miss Umayma?
Yes, he
Science books?
Yes,
Science books, yes.
Science books. What was Tariq's father's job in Canada?
In Canada, Tariq's
professor.
father is, yes, university
What did he
professor.
teach in Canada?
Literature.
Arabic
literature.
How long did they stay there? I mean,
For
in
6
Canada.
years,
6 years.
So these are some information about Hussein and Tariq. So we want you, dear students, when you read the text, try to get these information, try to gather these information, and know everything about Tariq, everything about Hussein, and what about Nadia? She's Hussein's sister.
Sister.
How old is she?
14.
So she's 14. Good. What is her hobby?
She writes articles
She
for
writes
the internet
articles.
school magazine.
Good. So that's it. This is everything about this text. You see, dear students, it's so easy. When you read, try to read not for reading. Read to understand between the lines. Read to understand everything. I mean the details about every character in this text.
Yes.
How
So-
about new vocabulary?
What about new vocabulary?
Yes.
Let's look for some new vocabulary. A good question, Mr. Majid. What about familiar?
Familiar means knows something well.
So everything was familiar, everything was known.
Was known for him.
To me, yes, or to him.
Well,
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Basil,
Yes.
not only these words, we have the feelings.
Yes.
The passage concentrate on the feelings.
Nervous, excited,
Yes,
yes.
happy,
embarrassed.
sad, etc.
Yes.
So we have feelings here.
Feelings, yeah.
We have excited, we have nervous, angry, embarrassed, scared, worried, upset, impressed. I think they are found in exercise 1 at page 13.
Yeah, we'll
Good.
reach them.
So that's everything about this text. I think we have covered everything about it.
Yes.
Yes. What about grammar skills, Mr. Majid, Ms. Umayma?
Yes.
In this unit, in every unit, as we said before, we have grammatical skills.
Yes.
Of course, because it is the first unit in your book, dear students, of course, it deals with some tenses. So I prefer to start talking about tenses now. After we finish tenses, we can talk about another skill, which is 2 auxiliary verbs found or mentioned in Unit 1. They are used to and would.
Yes.
We want our students to know, to distinguish between these 2 auxiliary verbs, to know how to use these 2 auxiliary verbs, to know why we use them, what for, and to practice writing, let's say, some sentences by using these both auxiliary verbs.
Yes.
Of course, tenses which are mentioned in Unit 1 are present tenses. There are some present tenses, but not all present tenses. We have the simple present and the present continuous.
Continuous.
And we have the past simple and the past continuous. So let's start with you, Mr. Majid. Let's talk about present tenses. Let's start with the present simple, please.
Okay.
And we can use, of course, the laptop.
Well, we use the present simple to talk about habitual actions.
Good.
We mean habits. Repeated action.
Good.
Repeated actions. For example, we play tennis most weekends.
Good. So we use the present simple for repeated actions, as you said.
Yeah, when something happens frequently, not just one time, we use the present. This is the first use of present
Good,
simple.
good,
So
good.
we said previously with habits, and I gave an example written on the screen. We play tennis most weekends.
Good.
I paint pictures sometimes. Sometimes is frequency adverb, is a frequency adverb. Actually, here we need to remind the students that frequency adverbs are always, which happens 100%. We have usually 80%. We have often, we have sometimes, and we have never. We have other frequency adverbs. Usually students are familiar with this from earlier
So the
stages.
second use
Second use is facts. We use
routine or
it,
situation that we see as permanent, you said?
yes,
Right.
habits,
Yes.
something that is permanent.
Yes.
Facts, for example, are permanent. They
Yes.
happen always the same.
We live in Damascus, for example.
This
It is a permanent situation,
Permanent situation, yes.
not temporary. We mean by, what do we mean by permanent, Mr. Majid?
Permanent happens always. It's not for a short period of time.
Good.
Not temporary means not for a short period of time. This happens always.
Good.
And not necessarily when I say I live in Damascus, it's permanent, although we may move to another city later. But since we are from Damascus and we live in Damascus, it's permanent.
Good.
When it's temporary, we are going to talk about it later. We use the present continuous. When we reach that, we will talk about it.
So, if we want to compare between these both tenses, Ms. Umayma, the present simple and the present continuous, because most students maybe don't know the difference
can't
between
distinguish.
these two tenses. I live in Damascus. This is
This is
a permanent
permanent.
situation.
Yeah.
But this week, I live in Homs.
In Homs.
So here, when we say this week, we mean a short period of time. But when we say I live in Damascus, we mean that it is permanent.
This can happen with students who register, who enroll in another city's university. For example, if a man is from Damascus, a student from Damascus, registered in Latakia, for example, he can say, I'm living in Latakia because I study English literature there, but originally I'm from Damascus. So when we use the present continuous, it means it's not a permanent action, it's just for a short period of time, temporary time. We use the present continuous tense.
Good.
With the
Do
verb.
we have some examples in the text which refer to the present simple? Of course, we have
Yes, of
a lot of
course.
them.
Yes.
We have.
Yes.
Tariq, for example. What about Tariq? We have
Actually,
many.
With the simple present.
He said, I quite like it. Here it is feeling.
Mhm.
And also we have
His father is a
is
professor.
a professor at university. Yes.
Many examples. So let's continue. Okay, Mr. Majid, I work at a sports shop. This is the example.
Yeah, I
It's a
work,
permanent job.
I work at a sports shop permanent. It's a permanent job. They live in a very nice flat. Again, this happens always. They live in the same flat for...
We need the laptop, please. We need the laptop. Thank you. Slide 4. Thank you. They live in a very nice flat.
Then we use it with state verbs or with feelings, thoughts
Okay.
and feelings. We
Yes.
use it with thoughts and feeling. When you
Examples.
think about something, here thinking is not an active action like when you are thinking about maths problem. Here it's your opinion. When you are talking about your opinion, we use the simple present.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Here it's not I'm thinking about solving a problem. It's my opinion. So when think is comes at the meaning of my opinion, it's state verb. So we use the simple present with it.
Good.
Want is. Let me distinguish between the state verb and the active verb.
Of course, we are going to talk about
Yes.
them, but it's okay. We
As-
can talk about them
A
now.
state verb is something happens without any interference of the doer of the action.
Yes.
Like see, like hear, like smell. So these words, like want. When you want something, you don't do anything to want it. You
Taste.
want, taste.
Taste.
Taste can be both. Can
Yes.
be active
Like.
and like. Thank you very much. Yeah, like and love. The active verb needs an action from the doer, like look. This is the difference between look is an active because you move your head, you stare your eyes, you look. But when you see, if someone is not blind, he will see something in front of him. So see is state.
Yes.
It's not active, but look is an active verb.
But sometimes, Mr. Majid, because there is no relation with C now as an active verb with the 9th grade.
No,
let's
just
say.
distinguishing.
We can
We are
sometimes
just
see
distinguishing between
as,
state
let's
verbs.
say, an action verb when we say, for example, the doctor is seeing the patient.
Yeah, here the meaning is meeting.
It's a
or
different meaning, of
Examining,
course.
examining. Yes,
Yes.
Yeah,
We can taste, for example.
Right.
This food tastes, for example, delicious. But we can say
Salty.
the boy is tasting the food.
Yeah, now he is doing an action. He
Yes.
takes the spoon, puts it in the food, puts it in his mouth, so he does an action.
So the students should distinguish between state verbs and, as you said, action verbs or active verbs.
Yeah, so when the student knows or sees that no action is done to achieve the verb, it's state.
Yes.
And we mentioned see, hear, like, as Umayma said, taste, as you
Yes,
said,
yes.
smell. The senses, the 5 senses are state verbs.
Of course.
Like and dislike, love are state verbs.
Feelings.
Feelings.
Feeling.
When we use verbs which refer to thoughts and feelings, so they are states. They are considered states, and we should use the present simple. So we
I
have
think you're
right.
examples here. Faisal wants a new bike. Most children like ice
Good.
cream.
Good.
These are examples.
Yes.
We use it for state and facts. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, facts are permanent. Facts are always true. They don't change. For
Yes.
example, water freezes if the temperature goes below 0. This is permanent. Always water
Good.
freezes. I know Ahmad quite well. Know is a state verb.
Good.
You don't do any action to know. We live on a farm in the countryside. Here is a permanent action.
Good.
Latakia lies on the Syrian coast. Again, Latakia is not going to move.
So this, I think it's a fact here.
Yeah, fact. Of course.
Latakia lies on the Syrian coast, it's a fact.
Yes.
The earth goes round the sun.
It's a
is
fact.
a fact as well.
So, yes,
Another fact is we eat to live.
good,
Animals kill for food.
yes,
So all these are facts.
good.
It has the same form as the infinitive. When we distinguish, sometimes students have
What do you mean by
difficulty.
the infinitive? Maybe
Yeah,
some
good.
students don't understand
Okay.
the meaning of this word.
Actually, in English, we have the base form, the base form, which is the origin of the verb.
To drink, for example.
To drink is an infinitive with to.
So what about the forms of this infinitive in the present simple?
In
To
the
drink.
present simple,
We
it's
have
the
drink.
same like the infinitive with I, you, we, they.
Yes.
Like I work, you work,
Good.
they work,
Good.
we work. But with the he, she, it, it's different because we need to add s.
So we
To the verb.
usually say, when we want to talk about any infinitive, we say that the present simple has the same form, as you said, as the infinitive, but we have two forms maybe. For example, to drink, as I said, is the infinitive,
Yes.
the base form, and the forms of this infinitive in the present simple, we can say drink and drinks.
Yes.
One with S and one without S.
S.
Maybe we have only one exception in English, which is verb to be. It is the only verb, as you know, in English, which has different forms in the present simple. Verb to be is the infinitive.
And verb to have as well.
Yes, yes. And verb to have.
Verb to
We,
have.
we can say have and has.
Yes.
It takes s, we can say, because we have as.
Yeah,
Has, sorry.
okay.
So, but what about verb to be? Verb to be is different.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's continue, Mr. Majid.
Well, so we need to notify here that the verb takes s when we use the pronouns he, she, and it, like I like, he likes, I go,
Good.
she goes, I carry, she carries. Here, the student will notice that when we put s to go, we didn't add just s, we added es.
Yes.
We have a rule, verbs that end in s, ss, sh, ch, x, z, and o, these endings usually we add es, not only s. I repeat them. When the verb ends in s, ss, sh, ch,
O.
x, z, and o,
Good.
we add es instead
If
of
the
only.
subject is a third person
Yes,
singular,
yes,
he, she, or
I
it.
was mentioning
Yes,
this
yes,
with he,
yes.
she, it.
Yes.
I carry, here we have another change. If we want to talk about it, we look at the letter before the
The
Y.
Y.
If it is a consonant, we change
The Y into
to I, and
Yes.
then we add es. Only consonant. If the letter before the Y is a consonant, we change the
The Y.
Y to I, then we add
But if there is a vowel before the
no
Y,
change.
don't change
Like
the Y.
play,
Say,
no change.
buy,
Yes.
say, obey.
Yes.
Good, good.
In the question, if you want to...
Let's continue. Let's cover
Okay.
everything about the
Okay.
present simple. I want to ask Ms. Umayma about the present continuous.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Now we come to the question form, which is very important, because later students will find that other tenses are very easy to form the question because the other tenses have auxiliaries, but in the simple present tense we need to use do and does. Do or does. We use do and don't in negatives. So we use do in questions with I, you, we, they.
Good.
And in the negative, we use don't. I don't. I like apples. I don't like oranges. So we use do and don't in questions and negatives. So do and don't are used with the pronouns I, you, they, and we.
Good.
For example, we don't play tennis in winter. And as we see, don't is the contraction of do not. I don't, we don't, I do not, we do not. In the question, we put the auxiliary do before and we say, do you, do I, do we, do they, do you play tennis? Do you play tennis is the form of question with I, you, we, they. If it is he or she or it, we use does. In the question, we say, does she play tennis? Does she like history? Does he play volleyball? Does his father, because his father is third singular pronoun as
So,
well.
Mr. Majid, I think we have a call from Name. Good afternoon, Name. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Your name is Name, right?
Yes.
Where are you from, Name?
What?
Where do you live? You
I
are
don't
calling,
understand.
You are calling us from Damascus?
No, I am from Tartus.
Tartus. Okay, Name, you are from
Yes.
Tartus. Okay, you are in the ninth grade, right?
Yes.
You are in grade 9. Okay, sure. You have a question, Name?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, what's your question?
In activity book.
What page? Which page? What page, Name? 20, 10, 11? What page? Page
I have a
number?
question, please.
Name, you are asking us about a question about something in the activity book. What page? Which page? Page 9, page 6, page 7?
Okay, let her ask the question.
Well, let her.
Okay, ask your
Activity
question.
book, page 5.
Page 5. Okay, that's it. Thank you. What's your question? Okay, what's your question? Ask me.
Number 4, exercise 7.
Exercise 4,
Number 4.
number 7. Okay,
It
Miss
used to.
Umayma, please.
Yes.
Miss
Used
Umayma, this is the
Thank
exercise.
you. The exercise.
It's exercise 4,
the
right,
Exercise
Umayma?
7, number
Number
4.
7.
Number 4. It used to.
It used to would be very cold in winter. Well, we are going to speak about used to and would, but we notice the verb. Look at the verb, please. Here in this exercise, you mean for?
You can
be.
ask her.
Okay. Verb to be. Well, is it a state or an active verb? Think, Nama. Think, please. Is it a state or an active verb? We have a rule to use would and used to. We are going to talk about it today.
Can we show? I was thinking why.
Well, what do you think? What's the answer? Is it used to or would? Used to? Well, I used to be very. It used to be very cold in winter.
Nama,
right?
what do you think the answer is, Nama? Is it used to or would? What do you think?
Well, let's.
She doesn't know.
Well,
Okay.
that's what she's asking.
Nama,
and
Nama, number 7.
Yes.
Number 7 in exercise 4.
Exercise.
Number 4 in exercise 7.
Number 4 in exercise 7.
Seven.
That's it. It used to, is it the sentence? It used to or would be very cold in the winter. Is it the sentence?
Yes.
It snowed nearly every day, right? Nama.
Yeah, she wants to know
Okay.
the answer.
So you want to know the answer. Which auxiliary verb to use here?
used to.
It
Used
used
to.
to or be?
We will
What
explain.
about be?
We will explain.
We are going to talk about these two auxiliaries after talking
But the answer is
about
used to.
tenses. But now, here, we have verb to be. Verb to be is a state verb. It is not an action verb, Nama. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so here we use used to. We don't use would.
Okay, be with us. We will
Okay.
explain this.
The answer is used to. Is it clear?
Okay.
Nama?
Okay.
Do you have another question?
No, thank
Okay,
you.
okay, goodbye. Thank you. Thanks for your call. Thank you. Well, let's go back, please.
Okay.
She is embarrassed a little bit. She
Actually,
was-
we're going to explain
maybe
about
because she
it
doesn't know
used
the
to.
difference between these two auxiliary verbs.
Yeah, she
We're
wants to
going
know
to
the
explain them.
answer, yeah.
But for the time being, Mr. Majid, we were talking about the negative forms.
I was talking
of the
about
present
he,
simple.
she, it.
Yes.
We use does.
Let's go back to the laptop. We can read that.
We use
Yes.
does
Can read the
and
example.
doesn't. Actually, does is used with questions.
Good.
And not only in questions, sometimes to emphasize, we
Yes.
can use the auxiliary do and the auxiliary does to emphasize. For example, he does No. He does know the
But,
answer.
they are in the ninth grade. They don't use.
I'm mentioning
this
this.
way.
I'm
It's
mentioning
okay.
this
It's
just
okay.
to clarify because some don't
We
know.
have this in English.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's no problem. So we use does in questions, and we use doesn't in negatives.
Yes.
For example, in the negative, he doesn't want any help.
Good.
What does he want in the question? Does he want any help? No, he doesn't want any help.
Good.
We use it for something that is happening now. At the time of speaking, we move
now, now
my
it's
colleague.
Umaima's turn.
Yeah, okay.
I want to ask you, Miss Umaima, about the present continuous. Sorry.
Yes.
Of course, there are many uses when we talk about the present continuous. So let's start talking about these uses. What about the form of the present continuous? How can we make it negative? How can we ask by using the present continuous? Many questions. Of course, you are going to answer all these questions.
Well,
Please.
thank you. As Mr. Majid said, what are we doing now? Things which are happening now. What are we doing
By
now?
the way, I'm going to
Well,
ask you some questions
we're
related to
presenting-
the present continuous
Yes.
We're
after you finish.
presenting a seminar.
Yes, we are presenting a
Yes,
seminar
yes,
now.
yes.
By the time being, we are doing something at the time of speaking. So this is the use of present continuous.
Good.
Present continuous, we use it for something that is happening now at the time of speaking. Well, I'll give some examples about
Okay.
it. Ali is enjoying his holiday in London.
Okay.
Another example, I'm making you a cup of tea, Mom. Okay? Another example, Aliyah and Tariq are studying at the moment. We notice that for these three examples here, that those people or the Aliyah and Tariq are doing something now at the time of speaking.
So they
okay?
are in the middle of the action.
They are in the middle of the action. That's why we use the present continuous. And I hope that students don't confuse themselves by the simple present and the present continuous. While the simple present, as Mr. Majid said, is used for facts, routine, feelings,
I want to
states.
go back to the
Here,
first example,
well,
Miss Umaima.
Yes, the first example.
To make it clearer to the students, when we say Ali is enjoying his holiday in London, it means that Ali now
Is having a
in
good
London.
time. Yes, he is
And
now
he
in
is
London.
having a holiday. He is now in London.
Yes.
And he is enjoying his holiday in London. He is not in Damascus. He is in London now.
Well,
This is the meaning of this sentence. Some students may ask or may say, we don't have, let's say, a reference here or something which refers to the present continuous this week, for example, today, this month. It's okay. We don't need them. When we use the present continuous, we mean that there is something going on at the time of speaking.
Yeah, no need to have the word, and this is one of the mistakes usually teachers give. They tell their students, when you see now or this, it means continuous. We need the students to elicit, to
Yes,
know the grammar
exactly.
from context, not from keywords.
I mean, when we say Ali is writing a story, we mean
it's
that
now.
he is
Now.
writing it now. He is
Yes.
in the middle of the action now.
Well, it's
Yeah.
related
There is no
to
need to
meaning.
write now. It's okay.
And we can also add that when something is not finished, maybe at the moment of speaking, he's not writing because it's a story, maybe long. When we talk about incomplete actions, again, we use the present continuous tense.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, Miss
That's
Umaima,
right.
please.
Yes, the present continuous, we use it for something happening about this time. Not only now, but
Before
also-
going on,
Yes.
we have a picture now.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
have a
we have a
photo.
picture.
Let me ask you about it.
Well,
As you can see, dear students, it is in the classroom. You can see a teacher and you can see some kids. Of course, these kids are doing different activities in the classroom. I'm going to ask Miss Umaima and Mr. Abdelmajid some questions about it, and I want to ask you at home and try to answer me. Try. Look at the teacher. What is he doing, Miss Umaima?
well, we notice when we look at the picture that the teacher is looking at the
Monitoring.
children, is monitoring, is watching.
Yes.
Now he
Good.
is in the
He is
classroom.
standing.
He is standing.
He is looking
the-
at some kids
Yes.
reading in their books. right? Reading.
Yes.
Well, he's standing, he is looking, okay, he's
Okay,
watching.
there is a boy on the floor. Am I right?
Yes.
What is he doing, Mr. Majid?
He's lying. Actually,
lying.
before I describe now what we are doing, me, you, and Umayma, we are describing a picture.
Exactly.
And I need to give this hint to the students. Always, when we talk about description, when we describe, we use the continuous tense, not the simple one.
Yes.
If it is now, we are describing now, we use
the
present
continuous form.
tense. If we were describing about something happened yesterday, we use the past continuous, as we will see later. In this picture, we are looking, so we are describing what is happening now. That's why we are using the present continuous to describe.
Good.
The little boy is lying on the floor, maybe thinking or laughing, so he is not
Yes.
participating. And as we see, this is a kids class. It's
Good.
not for grade 9.
Good, good.
And here we see that all students are free to do what they like. The teacher's role is just monitoring. This is a centered classroom,
Exactly.
student-centered classroom.
Yes.
Uh,
As you can see, some of the kids are playing, some of them are painting,
Yes.
some of them are reading. One of them is
Sleeping.
near the window. He is looking outside.
outside of the
Right?
window.
So they are doing a lot of things,
A lot
in
of
fact,
activities,
and
yeah.
they are enjoying their time. This
Yes,
is
of
another
course.
sentence in the present continuous.
Yes.
They are enjoying
Yes.
their time now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the verb enjoy. Enjoy expresses or refers to a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but we are talking about this feeling at this time.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
happening
This
at
time.
the time of speaking.
So it is a temporary feeling. For this reason, we can use the present continuous
Yes.
when we want to say they are enjoying their time, right?
Yes,
Uh,
that's
okay,
right.
let's continue, Miss Umayma. Thank
Well,
you.
as I said, we use the present continuous for something happening about this time, but not necessarily at the time of speaking.
Yes.
It doesn't mean now or at the moment. By the time of speaking, it may mean this year, this month, this week. Well, let me give an example. He's studying at Damascus University this year.
Good.
Another example, I'm working at a sports shop this month. So we
Good.
notice in these two sentences, we
The,
have
the meaning here is temporary. This is
Yes.
not a permanent
Good.
job.
not a
Good.
permanent job.
So
okay?
here it's not necessarily that the action is happening now at the time of speaking.
No.
When we say he is studying at Damascus University this year, maybe this man or this student is sleeping now at the time of speaking. Maybe he is watching TV now at the time of speaking. But this year, we mean we can use the present continuous for something that is happening about now,
Yes.
but not necessarily at the time of speaking.
Yes.
Well, before we have a break, dear colleagues, dear students, let me remind you that you can contact us by using the phone number shown at the bottom of the screen. Let's have a short break, then we can go back. Thank you. Hello again, dear students. Welcome back to our seminar. Students in the 9th grade. We were talking before the break, as you know, about Unit 1, some grammatical skills found in Unit 1. Miss Umayma, before the break, was talking about I used the past continuous, right?
pre-
She was talking about the
Yes.
present continuous before the break. Now let's continue. You said that we use it for something happening about this time,
Yes.
but not necessarily at the
Not
time of
necessarily,
speaking. Do we have another use?
Yes, we have another use for the present continuous, that we use it for a near future. When we want to speak about future, we can use the present continuous. For example, I'm visiting Ruba today in the afternoon.
So
This is a
this is a
personal-
plan.
Yes.
So when we have a plan, we can use it, yes.
So
I'm
when we have
visiting
a
Ruba
plan-
today. It means that she's going to visit.
Yes.
She's going.
When
or
we have
he is
personal
going to
plan,
visit.
yes, to
The speaker.
visit or to do any activity, we
Good.
can use the present continuous, which which we use it for future. It means future, not now, but at this moment.
You
It
mean we
future,
can use the
near
present
future.
continuous when we have a personal arrangement.
Arrangement.
Yes, personal
Standard
arrangements.
arrangements.
That's it.
Here, Ruba knows that I'm visiting here, so we arranged, me and Ruba, this visit.
Yes.
So in this case, we can use both. The future
I'm going
tense,
to.
it's not our
I'm
lesson,
going to visit.
and
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
But
visiting.
here
I'm visiting.
we say, dear students, we can use the present continuous to
Denote-
refer
to
to the
denote the
near
future.
future when we have personal arrangements.
Arrangement.
Exactly.
Well,
Good.
we
What
have,
else?
I have another example.
Okay.
My relative from France are coming to visit us in July. Well, we have another arrangement, personal arrangement.
They called us maybe, they sent something to
They
us.
send, that's it.
We know and they know.
We know and they know. So I discussed the usage of present continuous. Now I'm going to speak about the form
Good.
of it. We know that the present continuous has the verb to be plus ing form.
Good.
Well, here the verb to be should be is, am, or are. According to the pronouns, we know I am writing, he is, she is, they
Good,
are.
good,
Well, the verb to be plus ing form here is for the present continuous form. Okay?
Good. Good.
And I think that to speak about the negative and the question, when we have a sentence with the present continuous, the is, am, are, well, verb to be, we add not, isn't. He is, for example, he is writing his homework, he isn't. Well, and we use is, am, and are, the verb to be, in order to form the, or to make the question. Okay, that's all about the present continuous.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very
Is he
much.
writing his homework? Are
Yes.
you doing
Yes.
What
well?
is he
Yes,
doing?
yes.
Well, I'd like to add something, that when we were discussing the verbs, the state verbs and the activity verbs, they are verbs, although we have now or the time reference or anything related to time reference which is related to present continuous, we shouldn't use, for example, liking or owing.
Yeah, of course, state verbs are not
state verbs
used
are
in the
not used
continuous
in the
at all.
continuous form
Yes.
at all.
State verbs
No,
are not
for
used
example.
in the progressive.
No,
No.
we say I know.
No, like,
We don't say I am knowing
Yes.
him.
yeah, of
We
course.
say I know him. Why? Because know refers to something permanent. It doesn't refer to action,
Yes.
Yeah.
to an action.
So if we summarize, we use this continuous tense, present continuous, when something happening now
Yes.
or about now, not necessarily at the moment, and with the near future,
Yes.
when we have arrangement.
Great. Thank you very much,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Sumayma. Now, Mr. Majid,
Yes.
we have finished present tenses mentioned or explained in Unit 1 in the 9th grade. Of course, there are two other tenses, past tenses. They are mentioned also in Unit 1, the past simple and the past continuous.
Yeah.
Let's start with the past simple, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, the past simple is used to talk about an action, an event that happened and finished in the past.
Good.
Something that happened and finished in the past, and the time reference is very important here. We need to mention when,
Good.
because later we'll see when we don't have time reference, we use the present perfect. So here, in the simple past tense, we need to mention the time of
Specific time.
the time reference for the action that happened.
Good.
We use the past simple to talk about finished events in the past, so the action is finished, it's not temporary or incomplete.
Okay, Mr.
It
Majid,
has to be
sorry
ended.
for interruption. We have another call. I think this call is from Fadi. Hello, Fadi. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Fadi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
I'm fine.
Good. We are sure that you are studying hard,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Yes, of course.
You are watching us now, aren't you?
Hmm?
This is the present continuous. Okay. I'm sure that you have a question, Fadi. What's your question?
Well, I have a question, but in the activity book,
Okay, what page?
page 5,
Page 5. It's the same
exercise
page.
7.
Exercise 7. Wow.
Same exercise.
Okay, we are going later on to do this exercise for you, but it's okay. What number, Fadi?
Number 4.
Okay,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Majid, please. We have done this.
Yeah,
We
it
have
is
done
the
this
same.
sentence.
Actually, maybe the
you can
student
talk to Fadi,
doesn't
Mr.
have.
Majid.
Yes,
Do,
I know that
do you have
done
electricity,
it,
Fadi?
but I didn't understand it.
Yeah, okay. We
Fadi,
will,
Fadi, you can talk to Mr. Majid.
Yes.
Fadi, we are going to explain this in detail. Now I give you the answer is used to because it's a state verb. Be, verb to be is a state verb. We don't use would. We only use would with action verbs. And I explained at the beginning that an action verb needs something done by the doer of the action. Like we said, read, like cook, like speak, like tell. You do something to achieve the verb. Would is used only with action verbs. And here verb to be is not an action verb, so we only use used to. Is that clear? We're going to explain in details, but now I give you the answer. Is that okay?
Clear, Fadi?
Yes.
You know the answer now?
Yes.
You know why we chose be, used to, with
Yes,
be?
because, it's an
Maybe,
action.
maybe Mr. Majid, Fadi, and there are many others, get confused. Why? Because we have in English, it would be great
Yes.
if
Yeah.
you visit me tomorrow.
here would-
So maybe
I
would
think
here
they read
does
would,
not
would
mean-
be. They know this. But this, in this case, in this case, we are talking, Fadi, about the past. When we say it would be very nice if you visit me tomorrow, we use would with be when we want to talk about something now or in the future. But here, in this case, it used to be so and so. We are talking about something in the past, Mr. Majid.
Okay, let me tell
Okay,
Fadi,
why not?
please, Fadi, be with us.
Yes.
We are going to explain
Yes.
other use of would when we reach after a while
Follow us.
that we use used to and would with something that was frequent in the past but finished in the past, not anymore. In this case, would is used only with active verbs. We're going to explain it. Please be with us
Yes.
and we will explain it in detail.
Okay, Fadi?
Thank you very much.
Do you have another
Thank you
question?
very much.
No, thank you.
Okay, we wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye, goodbye. Thank you, Mr. Majid. Okay, let's go on. We use the past simple, as you said, to talk about finished events in the
Something
past.
finished, yeah, something
Yes.
finished in the past, and we need the time reference. In our examples,
Yes,
on the monitor, students can read.
okay.
He moved to Canada when he was 5. Here, the sentence or the clause, when he was 5, tells us the time.
So when he was 5, we mean that we are talking about something in the past.
Yes,
Maybe this man is 20 now,
Yes.
yes.
or 10. We don't know, right? So when he was 5, so when
Something
we say
happened.
when he was 5, something else happened.
Yes.
So
Even it is just 2 minutes ago, when we have something that refers to the past like the word ago, we need to use the simple past.
yeah, I talked to Fadi.
Yeah,
I talked
Yes.
to Fadi.
Fadi.
Fadi called us
Yes.
few minutes ago.
Now here we are giving these students the hints usually they have about how to choose. When we have time reference, the time reference can be time, can be date, and can be a sentence in the past, like when he was 5.
Good.
So when he was 5, the sentence in the past, we used the simple past, he moved to Canada. Another example, we played basketball yesterday. So yesterday means past, and
Specific time,
yesterday
yes.
tells us that we should use the simple past. I passed the exam last year. Again here, last year tells us that it should be in the simple past. The following word or adverb that tells us about the simple past is the word ago. Ago means before now.
Good.
Ago, before now. I told you 5 minutes ago. So when we see the word ago, we need to use the simple past as students. I told you 5 minutes ago.
Okay, before we go on to talk about the negatives and questions of the past simple, Mr. Majid, I'd like, in fact, to add something else.
Please.
The past simple, most students know that we need, as you said, a specific time at the end of our sentence. What about if the sentence is not simple? I mean, it is compound, and this sentence contains 2 clauses. You have read, you have just mentioned one of them. He moved to Canada
When he was
when
5.
he was 5. So we can use the past simple to talk about an action that happened when another action happened. We can use the past simple to talk about an action that happened before another action or after another action in the past. We can use the past simple to talk about an action that interrupted another action that was in progress in the past. Let me give you an example. While I was sleeping, the phone rang.
Phone rang.
So the phone rang. This action interrupted another action that was in progress in the past. So
I
it
think-
is what I mean, that it's not necessary, dear students, to have a specific time or something or a time reference, as Ms. Umayma said, in your sentence. Your sentence may contain 2 clauses.
Yes.
One of them is in the past, so the second one should be in the past.
Past.
Oh,
Yeah, we mentioned it.
Yes, that's it. He moved to Canada when he was 5. So when you see, when he was 5, it means that we are talking about something in the past, not in the present.
Yes.
So be careful, look at your sentence very well, read it very well, know these 2 actions, and I'm sure that you will know the answer. Of course, I'm not going to talk about exams. We are not talking about exams. We are talking about English, and we are trying to make you able to distinguish between tenses. That's it. This is our job here in the studio. Okay. Now you can continue. Sorry for interruption, Mr. Majid. What about the negatives and questions of the past simple?
Well, again, as we said about the simple present tense, it's not easy because we need-
Sorry for interruption again. I think we have another call.
Okay.
It's okay. It's from
Welcome.
Dina. Dina, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You are in the 9th grade, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Your question, please, Dina.
Okay, in the activity book,
Activity book again. Okay.
Page 5.
Page 5.
I hope
Number
that exercise
Don't
7.
say it is exercise 7. It is exercise 7. Okay.
Yeah,
Number 5. Okay, Miss Umayma,
that
please.
page 2.
Miss Umayma, you can talk to Miss Umayma. It's okay.
Yes,
Okay.
good afternoon, Dina. How are
Good
you?
afternoon. Fine, thank you.
Yes, your question, please.
Where do you use used to and would?
Yes, for the
You're
used to
very,
and would.
very, very
Yes,
in a hurry.
in a hurry. Thank you for your question, Dina. Thank you very much. We are going to explain the used to and the would. But briefly, I'll tell you that they are used for repeated actions in the past. Okay? We
Okay.
use used to and would for actions happened in the past, regularly in the past. But they have uses. So please follow us because we are going to discuss the use of used to and would in details.
Okay, Dina.
Okay, thank
So
you.
when we finish the past continuous,
Yeah,
we are going to explain everything about used to and would.
yeah.
And be sure that we are going to do this exercise for you.
Okay.
Exercise 7, we are going to read the rules. We are going to explain the rules about used to and would. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay?
Do you have another question?
No.
Okay. Goodbye. Thank
Goodbye.
you, Dina. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Majid.
Okay.
Please, the negative form.
Well, I was saying that as we said about the simple present, that we need to use an auxiliary which is not in the sentence. In the simple present, we use do and does. Here in the past, we use did to
Good.
answer a question.
Yes.
We use did with all pronouns, not like the simple present. We have two kinds. We have one type, which is did, the past of do, with all pronouns. So to ask, we say, did you, did he, did she go to school, did you go to school, did we go to school? And we didn't give the hint about when we use an auxiliary, do, does, or did, we take the verb to the base form, to the infinitive form.
As in the example here.
In the example, we said, for example, we did not win. Here, win is the base form. This is not the present.
Yes.
It's not the present. It's the infinitive.
Yes.
The infinitive form always is used when we have an auxiliary verb. We did not win the game. The question was, did you win the game? Did you win? And the sentence is, we won. Won is the past of win. When we change it to a question or negative, we use did or did not. In the question, we use did. In the negative, we use did not. And we change the verb from the past to the infinitive.
Good.
It becomes, we did not win the game. Where did you stay is another question. Another example for a question. Where did you stay? The answer is, I stayed. Here, we form most of the verbs, regular verbs, by adding ed, and the irregular ones are learnt from the list.
Good. Thank you very much. That's everything about the past.
If I summarize, just
Yes.
let's
Why
tell
not?
the
Why
students
not?
that usually we distinguish the simple past tense when we have time reference in the past. It can be a date like 1994. It can be a sentence, another clause in the past, like when I was 5. And we may find the word, the adverb yesterday, or last plus time, last week, last month, last
2
Friday.
days ago.
And ago. Thank you very much. Ago with any time, 2 days,
course.
2 minutes, 5 months
Exactly.
ago.
Once
when we
upon
see.
a time. Well,
Once upon a time refers to the past.
When we tell a story, of course,
When
we
we
tell a story about the
because
past,
they-
we should use the past in the
Yes, the
story, yes.
all the
You're right, because we are trying to explain, we are describing here, when we tell a story, we describe events, some events happened in the past, so
Yes.
we should use the past. We are going to talk about the past continuous now.
well.
What about the past continuous, Miss Umayna?
Well,
the
for
last tense.
Yes,
this
for the
evening.
past continuous, we speak about an action which is in progress, not now, but in the past. We use it to talk about something that was in progress, or to say that we were in the middle of an action.
At that time.
At that time of speaking.
Okay, let
at
me
that
ask
one.
you.
Yes.
What time is it now?
Now it's
It's 3 o'clock.
Yes.
What were you doing at 3 o'clock yesterday?
yes.
This
I
is
can
what you
say
mean.
yes. I was reading yesterday at 3 o'clock yesterday. Okay, I was reading. I was watching
So
TV. I was
you, at 3 o'clock yesterday, you were in the middle
Yesterday, of something.
of an action.
Yes.
You were reading.
Yes.
What about you, Mr. Majid?
Yeah, I was sleeping at
You
this
were
time
sleeping.
yesterday.
Good. Me too.
Well,
Okay.
I have some examples with explain or show
Okay.
us the past continuous. Nasser was riding. We
Yes.
notice the verb here, was riding his bike when he fell off. So we have actually here in this sentence two actions. One interrupted the
interrupting the
other.
other,
He was riding when he fell off. Okay.
Good.
Another example, while I was shopping in the market, I met my friend. So these two actions happen at the same time. While I was shopping, I met my friend in the middle of an action.
So you mean while Nasser was riding his bike, something else happened. He
Yes.
fell off.
Yes,
The second example, while I was shopping in the market, I met my friend.
Well.
You mean an action which interrupted,
Interrupted
another action
another
that was in
action.
progress in the past.
in the past.
Good.
That's it.
Very
Another
nice.
example, we were going to school when it rained.
Good.
We have here also, we were going to school, we're going and rained.
What were
going
you
when it-
doing
Yes,
when it rained?
When it rained. So
You were
another-
going to school.
Yeah.
Or what happened?
What happened?
when you were going to school?
Yes. it rained.
Usually when two actions interrupt each other in the past, we
Yes.
put that was happening first in
Yes.
the past continuous, and the one that interrupted the first one in the simple past.
Yes, in the
Good.
simple past. That's right. So can we say when it rained when we were going to
Yes.
school?
Why not?
Why not?
The order is
So
not
we
because
can- we
because
can
There
change
is
the
something
order.
which interrupted something that was in progress.
Yes.
Right?
we care to the action that was happening first to be in the past.
So here
continuous.
we started going to school before it rained,
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay.
right? Then and it continued raining
Continued
after we were going
Wait.
to school.
Yes.
So this
So
is the meaning.
two
of it.
actions, yes, at the same time.
Yes.
Another use, we often use the past continuous and simple together when a shorter action interrupted longer one, as we said now, which means came in the middle of it.
Good.
I will have a sentence here. I fell asleep while I was watching television.
Good.
Fell is in the past form, was watching, and we look at the meaning. I fell asleep while I
So I
was
started
watching.
watching television
Yes,
before I fell asleep, of course.
of course.
It happened during the
During.
first action. I was watching television.
Yes.
During this time, something happened. What happened?
So I fell asleep.
I fell
It came
asleep.
in the middle of the action of watching TV.
Yes.
Okay. Another example. The phone rang while mom was making lunch. So we have here also we have rang. The phone rang. The past simple and mother or my mom was making lunch. So the making lunch continuous in progress, and this action when the phone rang came in the middle of it.
Good.
Two actions at the same time. This is for the use of.
What about the form, no?
The form? The past continuous is formed by the verb to be in the past, where and was. According, you know,
Good,
we
good.
use was, I, he, she, and it, and we use where with all the other pronouns.
Good.
Plus ing. I was reading a book. She was reading a book. They were reading a book. Ing with the verb to be. So verb to be, sorry, plus the ing form in the past.
Of course, I'd like to remind my students that when we add an ing to the verb, we have some rules, spelling rules,
Yes,
I mean,
thank you very
related
much.
to the
Yes.
ing.
I was going to ask you. You read
Exactly. When,
telepathy. You read
for
my-
example,
my mind.
when we have a silent e, mute e, for
Yes.
example, use, have,
Come.
write, come,
We drop.
all these verbs end with a silent e. You have to drop the e and add ing. Have becomes having without e.
Yes.
You have to
Coming
omit
without
the e.
e.
Omit the silent e. But if you, let's say, pronounce the e, if it is not silent, I mean B, for example, C, when you want to add an ing, don't omit the
Yeah,
e.
of course.
Just add an ing. This is an important
This is very
rule.
important, yes.
Yes, some students
you for
don't
mentioning
omit
it.
the e, the silent e, when they add ing.
I hope that they listen to us now.
I hope so.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's everything
That's
about
everything
tenses
about the
in
past,
Unit 1.
in
Of course,
Unit
we
1.
are going later on in our next seminars, coming seminars, we are going to cover, let's say, all tenses found or mentioned in your book.
Yes.
But for the time being, we have covered everything related to Unit 1 when we talk about tenses.
Tenses, yes.
Now, Mr. Majid, thank you, Mr. Maima.
Thank you.
We have an exercise.
Yeah.
As this exercise is important, it is a kind of practice to our students to know how, let's say, we ask you in the final exam at the end of the year, this is the rubric, choose the correct tense between brackets. Let's read sentence 1, please, Mr. Majid.
While I was shopping in the market, I, between brackets, fall, present, fell, past of fall, into a box of fruit.
So, what do you think, dear students, the answer is? Is it fall, the first choice, or is it the second choice, which is fell, is it in the present simple or in the past simple? How do we know, Mr. Majid,
Yes.
that the correct answer?
Well, as just Umayma explained, when two actions were happening and one interrupted the other,
Good.
we put the first in the past continuous and the one that interrupted in the simple past. Here, we see that the longer action that was happening first was the shopping in the market.
What tense is it?
It is the past continuous
So-
tense. And the one that interrupted is that he fell into a box of fruit.
Good.
So we need to use the past simple with the past continuous because they interrupted each
And
other.
we have while I was
While
shopping
goes with the
market.
past continuous.
The
actually.
first half of the sentence describes something that was in progress in the past.
Yes, and the
During
other
this
one
action, something else
happened in the middle of it,
So-
interrupted it. We use fell, which is the simple past of
Good.
fall.
Good, good. Thank you very much. Number 2, Miss Umayma, would you please
Yes,
read the sentence?
The sentence, Nasser, between brackets we have is riding or was riding his bike when he fell off. The verb in the second clause is fell. Well, we read it again. Nasser is riding, which is present continuous, was riding, which is past continuous, his bike when he fell off. So
We have another action in the past.
we have another action.
The
in
second
past.
action is in the past, when he fell off. So here we are talking about the past.
So-
So they should
Choose the past
They should.
choose
Yes,
the past continuous,
continuous.
not the present continuous.
Yes,
Thank you. So the answer here is
was riding.
was riding. Thank you very much.
Thank
What
you.
about number 3, Mr. Majid?
Okay. I, between brackets, play or am playing volleyball every Saturday. Here, every Saturday denotes us that this happens frequently. It's not now. This is always every
Routine
Saturday.
or
So
repeated action.
It's habitual action.
Yes.
We use the present simple, which is play.
Yes.
I play volleyball every Saturday.
Good, good. Thank you very much. Number 4, Miss Umayma.
Sally, between brackets, moved, past simple, moves, present simple, to Canada when he was 5. So as we say, we see here, when he was 5. Read it
Again,
carefully. So
we are
again,
talking about
we are
past.
talking about the past. So the student should
Use
use moved. The
moved.
past simple.
Choose moved,
Yes.
not moves.
Yes,
Yeah,
moved.
Yes.
Yes.
Number 5, Mr. Majid, please.
The last time I heard from you, she is working or was working in Damascus. Of course, when we started with the simple past, we cannot come back to the present. We need to continue in the past.
The last time I heard from you.
So she
So
was
it is in the past.
in the past. She was working in Damascus.
Good, good. Thank you. Number 6.
I enjoy or I am enjoying my holiday in London this week. So we have here this week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a sentence like this.
So it is
I
an
am
action
enjoying, yes.
happening about now.
About now. So
Yes.
the student should use I am enjoying the present
good.
continuous.
Good.
Yeah.
Number 7.
When I entered the classroom, I saw or was seeing everyone laughing. Of course, here we have description, but see is a state verb.
Yes.
It's never used in the progressive, except like you mentioned about
I
examining
meant
a
it.
teacher. Yeah? Here, see is the action of seeing something in your eye. It's not examining a patient.
Exactly.
So it should be in the simple present or the past simple.
Good.
So here, the beginning is past, and the continuity should be in the
So
past.
here,
I saw.
when we say, Mr. Majid, when I entered the classroom, dear students, when I entered the classroom, so this is the first action which happened in the past. So first, I entered the classroom.
Of course.
Second, I saw everyone laughing.
I saw everyone laughing.
When we use when with the past, you should know that the action which, let's say, accompanies when happened first, which comes with when,
Yes,
for
of
example.
course.
When the phone rang, I answered the call. So first the phone rang, second I answered the
answered.
call. So when I entered, so I entered first, then I saw
Yes,
second.
yes.
This is the meaning of the sentence, an action after another action. Number 8,
Yes,
Ms.
for the
Umaima,
last one,
sentence.
we always we have to use go skiing in winter.
We have
Okay?
always
we speak
here.
about routine. We have here routine or habits. We always go skiing in winter. We have to choose the simple present.
We always go skiing in winter, which means
Yes.
that it is a habitual
Habitual action.
action.
Yes.
Yes,
So
it
we use
is
that simple
repeated very
present.
often. Every winter.
Yes.
It happens every winter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's everything about tenses. Let's start, Mr. Majid, talking about used to and would. Now, we have only 10 minutes, in fact, and we need to explain
quick.
used to and would. So what about used to and would as auxiliary verbs? I'll start with you. Please, you can start talking about used to.
Actually, the students who called helped us to give a hint about it. Here we are talking about something that was frequent in the past and not anymore. This habit stopped in the past. We use used to and would with something repeated in the past
Good.
and stopped in the past.
Good.
We are not using it
Yes,
now.
yes.
For example, I used to swim in the river when I was a kid. I would swim in the river when I was a kid.
I don't do it anymore now.
No, I'm not swimming in the river. It was a habit in the past. So when we talk about a habit that was frequent in the past and stopped, not anymore, we can use used to
Or would.
but
There is a
we
difference.
need to distinguish between these
What about
words.
used to, please?
Used to can be used with both cases, state verbs and action verbs. But would is only used with action verbs.
So,
So use used to. In the negative, we use
Didn't
didn't
use.
used to. Of course, we delete the D from use when we use
Yes.
didn't. And of course, when we use didn't, we use the infinitive talk about states, repeated.
or repeated actions in the past.
So what I want to clarify to those who called us, which one to use. If we use used to, it can go with both state verbs and action verbs. We only use would with the
Action.
action
Can you give us
verbs.
some
activity.
examples about used to?
Yeah, of course. I used to have a nice bike when I was a boy, not now. We used to go on holiday every summer. When I moved to Canada, I used to miss the sunny weather because in Canada, of course, it's cold. Now the negative, I didn't use, and I want students to pay attention that we delete the D from use,
Yes.
and the pronunciation is use, not use. I used to, and I didn't used to. We didn't used to like working on the farm.
Okay. Thank you very much. What about would, Ms. Umaima?
Well, as Mr. Majid said, we use would in order to speak about actions happen regularly
habits.
repeated in the past. So,
Repeated habits in the past.
yes, but
Not states.
Not states. Repeated habits
Yes.
in the past. We use would plus the infinitive. We use the infinitive after would and used to.
Okay.
So we speak about habits, not states. Okay. For example, I'll give some examples. After dinner, grandfather would sit and tell us old stories from long ago. Another one, when we were young, we would dress up warmly and play in the snow.
Good.
Well, I have these two
So here,
examples.
after
and
dinner, grandfather would sit, and the verb sit here
yes,
Is an action.
is an action verb. Dress up is an action verb. Now, my question is, can I use used to before sit?
Of
After
course.
dinner, grandfather used to
Yes,
sit,
yes,
course.
yes.
or we used to dress up?
Yes,
Of course.
yes.
Because used to,
Is
as we
used with
said,
both.
can be used
With this,
before states and before action verbs. But would
Only action
is
verbs.
only used before action
Action
verbs.
verbs.
This is the main difference between them. So you should remember this, dear students. Now, because we have got a lot of calls about exercise 7, Mr. Majid, I think that it would be a good idea
Yes.
to do exercise 7. What we have only, you should know that we have only 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
So we should do this exercise. Let's do number 1. You can read the rubric, Mr. Majid.
Circle the correct verb, Sometimes both are correct.
Good.
So here the students need to know what time we can use both.
When we
Okay.
say sometimes both are correct, it means that maybe
It's an action verb.
Action verb, of course.
it is an action verb. We can use used to, and we
And
can
we can
use
use would.
But if it is a state verb, only
One
used to
used to.
is used before it.
Yeah.
Okay, number one.
Not only state verbs, when something is permanent, like live and
Yes,
were,
yes, of
we
course.
cannot use would.
Yes,
with
yes.
them. So number one, I didn't always used to or would live in Canada, you know. Live is a permanent action, so the answer is used to,
Used to.
not would.
Okay, number two, Mr. Manuel.
Well, we have live. I used to live in Syria when I was a child.
So only used to.
Yes.
Used to. Number three.
Number
please.
three, when I moved to Canada, I would miss. Again, miss is a state verb. It's not an action verb. We cannot use would. It should be I used to miss the sunny weather.
Okay, for number four, I used to be. We have the verb be, which is a
Yes, verb.
state verb. I used to be very cold. It used to be very cold in the winter. It snowed nearly every day, and the students asked us about this exercise.
Yes.
We gave them the answer, and we explained why. If you have any question, please ask us.
Yes.
So, this is.
Number five, my sisters and I used to or would dress up. As Mr. Bassi said, dress up is an action verb. So in this case, both cases are
correct.
okay. We can say I used to dress up or I would dress up warmly and play in the snow.
Yes.
Six.
Well, number six, but I used to love. You notice the verb love, okay? It's a state verb, so we should use used to.
Good.
I used to love the Canadian summers.
Yeah, okay. Number seven, we used to would live. Again, we come back to the word live, so it should be used to
Used to.
only. We used to live very near Lake Louise.
Yes. Number eight, we used to or would. The verb is go. You know that go, we
It's
can use
an
used
action,
to. It's
both.
an action verb.
Yeah.
We use both, used to and would. They are both acceptable. Well, used to would go there every weekend and swim, fish, or sail. This is for exercise number 7.
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
now it's clear.
Yes, I think it's very clear. Thank you. And if we go back, of course, to exercise 4, this exercise or this paragraph, let's say, contains different tenses, and it is a good practice for dear students to distinguish between these 4 tenses we have just mentioned in our seminar: the present simple, the present continuous, the past simple, and the past continuous. Now, after page 5, we have at page 6 in the activity book 3, dear students, 3 texts. You have to read them. They are stories, different stories. The first story is about a student living in Poland, and he wrote an email or a, let's say, he wrote
Postcard.
something to his parents,
Yes.
postcard,
Postcard.
and this postcard needed, let's say, 30 years to arrive, but they didn't, I mean, his parents didn't read it, and it went back.
'Cause they
So
know him.
it is a nice story. The second story is about a train going from London to Manchester, and it suddenly broke down. There's something, there was a
Windscreen.
problem.
Windscreen wiper
Exactly.
was broken
And the
down.
last story is about a woman was walking to a stadium in Munich, Germany, to watch a match during the last World Cup.
Someone stole the ticket.
Football tournament, and someone stole her. He stole her card.
Stole the ticket.
And he stole
The
the ticket,
ticket?
yes.
Yes.
But he was astonished when he found that the one who was sitting in front of him or near him was her husband.
Yeah, because
and
the husband
and the
bought the
police caught
2
him.
tickets.
It was a nice story. The last, we have another story, or it's about a traveler. No, that's everything about Unit 1.
Yes.
These are the texts found in Unit 1. We have 3 stories in the activity book, 3 stories, maybe 2 stories about Fatin and Abbas, and we have an article about newspapers. You have to read them all. Well, dear students, at the end of this seminar, Let me thank you for watching us, and let me thank my colleagues in the studio, Ms. Umayma Sharba, an English supervisor from Tartus. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Abdul Majid Overly, the coordinator of English at the NCCD. Thank you very much, Mr. Majid.
Thank you very much.
Till we meet in another seminar, we wish you all the best and goodbye. Thank you.